Are the Miami Dolphins quietly separating themselves from Tyreek Hill? And is their social media activity the biggest telltale sign of it all? We'll discuss that. Plus, are the Miami Dolphins wasting their time? And more importantly, did they waste money in this investment of Zach Wilson as the backup quarterback in Miami? We will discuss that plus so much more. Do me the favor, smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. And as always, let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field on the near side, man open. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's going over the touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We are back here for another one. Appreciate all y'all coming through. I wanted to shout each and every one of you out for supporting me the way you guys do. Man, it's been a wild, last couple of days. I guess Tuesday night, the video I dropped on the weekend about the South Florida media caught a little bit of fire. Joe Shad and Poopar unfollowed me. Joe Shad basically replied to someone and said that, hey, he basically implied that I put his name in my podcast for clout, and so did Poopar. Well, I hate to be the one to tell you guys, but Nick Hicks, when I would have Nick Hicks up here, and he wasn't on here last summer because of obviously the embargo because of Tua's contract. When I would have Nick Hicks up here, man, better numbers than you guys than that video. So that's not one of my top performing videos ever, or something like that. I mean, what are we talking about here? So I don't get any clout off of that by just speaking my mind and calling out bad takes. And I hear, even the YouTube money out here is being addressed, and people are claiming, a certain media member that was in that discussion said the YouTube money is down. Well, I'm going to say this, y'all came in here and y'all wanted to try and make that YouTube money. And also one of you, and you know who you were, I've put that YouTube money in your pocket before, and you weren't complaining when I put that YouTube money in your pocket, and I did it out of the kindness of my heart because you were not on a salary at that point. So whatever, the YouTube money, no issue with it when you were taking it, but okay, guess what? All right, we want to get personal. When I was keeping it ball, hey, knock yourself out. Anyways, shout out to all of you for continuing to support. We got a lot to talk about today, and I want to start off because I've seen it asked on X. I've seen it all over our social media. No, we do not want Damon Arnette back here in Miami. I am sorry. I think again, it's kind of similar to the X thing. I mean, do we want a guy who was on IG toting guns? Do we want him in an open carry state again? And yeah, is he trying to get his life in order, with the Houston Roughnecks? Sure. He was out of football from 2022 until he returned to the Houston Roughnecks for 2025. You'll remember we signed him to the practice squad in December 15th, and then we didn't renew it when the season ended January 9th. He then went to the Kansas City Chiefs, and he was released on January 29th, 2022 on charges of assault with a deadly weapon, carrying a concealed weapon without a permit, and 2 counts of a possession of a controlled substance in Las Vegas. This is after the November 8th, 2021 release by the Raiders after the video I was talking about on IG of him brandishing firearms while also making death threats was making its rounds. And remember, he's a 19th overall pick in 2020 out of Ohio State. The tape was good. The player was good. But I don't want X back because why do you want X back? The guy was basically sending revenge, lewd pictures of a kid's mother to him. You know, I don't want that. You know, never mind the play on the field was clearly declining with lower extremity issues, etc., etc. He's been out of football for a couple of years. No team wanted to touch him. It's the same thing with Damon Arnette. Okay, you've been out of football for a couple of years. You're with the Houston Roughnecks, so now all of a sudden, let's go? Are you crazy? Man, you gotta be like, you gotta be in the UFL for like 4 or 5 years. Like, and you better be good. Like, you better not have any issues. All right? Like, because, it's even happened. I mean, he was arrested in 2024. Think about this. He signed with the Houston Roughnecks on December 30th, 2024. Okay? 7 days later. Oh, sorry. Yeah. What? 11 months before that. Almost 12 months to the day. About 7 days short of 12 months before that. He had just been charged with possession of methamphetamine, and unlawful carrying of a firearm in Texas. Like, what? This is, like, seriously? Do we want to bring this to Miami? I don't even know why this is a discussion and why people even bring this up on social media. I think that's crazy. And like I said earlier, okay, he's got this firearm charge. He's got this brandishing a weapon on IG stuff. But yeah, let's bring him to an open carry state because that's probably going to end very well. Like, that's a great idea. So, yeah, I don't know about that by any stretch of the imagination. And anyone talking about that or suggesting that might be a good idea, again, what are we pushing here? Why are we talking just for the sake of talking? And that I even have to address this because people have asked me, hey, what do you think about this? Would you be down for this? Like, come on, man. Seriously, that's what we're doing? That's what we want to bring to Miami? People need to stop just looking at the play on the field, which, let's be honest, isn't even that great to begin with. And they need to start also taking culture into effect because clearly they are. Right? Clearly they are taking culture into effect. So, I'm telling you this. I don't know. As Dolphin fans, hardcore Dolphin fans, you're watching this content in May, so I love y'all. I don't know about you, but this corner situation, I don't know how it don't keep you up at night because everything is going so right. And now, again, we went from having a glaring hole in the interior to fixing that on the interior offensive line and really next to Sealer with the defensive line, where we filled those, to these glaring holes now with Jalen Ramsey on the way out. And I'm going to say it, I know we talked about Asante Samuel yesterday, Rasul Douglas. Even Asante Samuel at this stage of his career and where he's at with these injuries and his size and his style of play, wouldn't you just feel so much comfortable with him locked in as like a solid number 2? But you're going to have to rely on him as a number 1. Maybe they pull off something out of their bag for, a Denzel Ward. Or maybe they pull something out of their bag and, I know they've looked into Jair Alexander. So maybe they go off and they, even still, I mean, the guy's played 7 games a year when we're hoping he's going to come to Miami and be healthy with the track record we've had of players being able to stay healthy on both sides of the ball. Yeah. And I got beachfront property right in the Northwest Territories that I could sell you. Okay. Anyways, So let's get into this. All right. Something I want to talk about here first is Tyreek Hill. It seems like the Miami Dolphins are quietly separating themselves from Tyreek Hill, and social media seems to be what to watch. And let's talk about this right now. There's a few things to talk about right here, okay? So when you actually break it down, this is the last social media post Tyreek Hill was involved in with the Miami Dolphins, okay? And you'll notice the date at the bottom there. It is April 28th, 2025. So it's been almost a month. We're a week away to a month, basically. Now, I'm not just saying, because here's the thing. If you go to their actual page, look at all the media they've been posting, right? They've been posting highlights from camp and from the off-season program consistently. They posted throws from Zach Wilson to Nick Westbrook Akini. I mean, they've posted throws to Julian Hill, but there's been nothing really to Tyreek at all on social media for almost a month. But he's posted stuff on social media, right? He posted a training video just a couple days ago, but it was just him, not a Dolphins training video at all. And then you read deeper into it. Okay, we've seen them have the photo ops the last couple years at the F1 in Miami. This is something, if you've been on social media, you've seen it every year. We see the photo ops, and it's usually the leaders with Mike McDaniel. And then look at this year, right? Tyreek Hill, nowhere to be seen in that photo op with Mike McDaniel. Nowhere. Right? And you got people theorizing, this is going to be the leader group, right? Right? You had Tua, Patrick Paul, Zach Sealer, Jalen Phillips in there, right? And if I remember correctly, Bradley Chubb too, right? With Mike McDaniel. And everyone's like, these are there you go. And remember, Bradley Chubb went in on Tyreek Hill. He was actually the most vocal. If you remember correctly. So, that's what's interesting about that. And, he was just nowhere to be seen. Well, and we know Ramsey wasn't there, right? We knew Ramsey wasn't going to be there. I mean, let's be honest. We knew Ramsey wasn't going to be there. 110%. Because the guy's getting traded and hates Mike. But that basically showed you who Mike's guys were in that picture. And ask yourself, where was Bradley Chubb? He was in that picture, and Tyreek wasn't. Zach Sealer's in that picture. He's a leader. So, Phillips is a leader, obviously, right? So, very interesting when you break it down. And then let's go even further. You can still keep going further than this, right? I've reported this. Weeks and weeks ago. If you go back to my, I believe, let me look right here. If you go back to my April 23rd 3 Takes video or channel member community post, the insider info, I reported the legitimate tension between Tua and Tyreek, as well as Waddle and Tyreek. And Tyreek, it's known there's tension there. So, and then you look at this. Remember, Tyreek Hill was part of the release schedule last year with Raheem Mostert. Yeah, now Raheem Mostert's gone, but they didn't feature Tyreek Hill. Hell, they haven't featured him, like I said, in almost a month on social media. But yet he's posting his own workout videos. Now, an interesting thing, too, is when you look at what it's going to happen with Tyreek Hill. Let's talk about this year. Okay, check it. In 2026, the Dolphins are negative $9.387 million, all right? Now, if you were to trade Jalen Ramsey post-June 1st and also cut Tyreek Hill post-June 1st, and also in 2025, we have $13.749 million in cap space, right? All of a sudden, your cap space jumps up to about $10.985 million. And guess what? Your 2026 cap space going from negative $9 million to $33 million, $33.5 million in 2026. And that's not talking about, hey, Tua could get hurt and they got to move off of him, whatever the case may be is, which will just add more money. I mean, you look at it now, obviously cutting Tyreek, the problem is it eats into your cap space this year, right? You go from about, after you get rid of Jalen Ramsey, you should be about $24 million. You get rid of Tyreek, let's say you cut him, you go down to about $10.98 million. Now, and it's the same. Now, if you trade Tyreek Hill post June 1st, your cap space goes from $23.665 million to $38.635 million this year and $33.5 million next year, like I said. So if you could find a trade partner post June 1st for Tyreek and Jalen Ramsey, listen, I know people are going to say we're not going to get better with addition by subtraction, but damn it, you're paying Waddle. It's time to step up. Nick Westbrook-Ikini's in this. Malik Washington can take on that pure slot role, a bigger role. You've got some good UDFAs in Andrew Armstrong. We don't know what Taj Washington is. You also got that Theo Weiss as a UDFA this year. I'm not going to sit here and endorse it because, I know what people are going to be like, well, that's just bleak. I mean, we don't stand a chance with Tyreek, but you still got Jonnu, and look at how much they spread the ball out last year. I'm telling you, McDaniel and Tua were spreading the ball out to Jonnu in the way they were to prove a point that they can move on. I'm telling you, man. You make Jonnu, Jalen Waddle, and Devon Achane the feature of your passing game. And then everyone else, Nick Westbrook-Ikini, right? Whatever UDFA makes it, Malik Washington, Taj Washington, if he makes it, they become complementary pieces to it, with Malik hopefully being the biggest complementary piece to it. But, I mean, you could make the argument last year, or even, that Devon Achane was the better offensive weapon than Tyreek Hill. I know it seems bleak, but I'm telling you. And this isn't even just so much about the play. This is about the culture. Like, what if we start off 2-2 or 2-4, And we've got a good schedule with good spots in that schedule to make up a lot of room. You can't afford this thing going off the rails with this guy. And then you got these these rookies who are easily impressionable. Kenneth Grant, Jordan Phillips, Quinn Ewers, Ollie Gordon on offense, Jonah Savaianaya. You don't want them influenced by that nonsense. Listen, if you told me Tyreek Hill was going to stay in line, he'd be a good soldier all year, I would say don't trade him. Ride it out and then move off of him next year. But we are dealing, I keep telling y'all, I mean, this man's personal life, his wife is leaving him, his family's going to be leaving him with the wife. Obviously, she's going to take the kids. I mean, this thing could become a real dark place in South Florida. And, this could become a disaster. He was already vocal. He was already a problem last year. God help us if it happens a second year in a row. And like I said, we know Bradley Chubb was vocal about him. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a physical altercation. So, yeah, I mean, and it's clearly obvious. And the reason why I'm saying they're separating themselves obviously here is why. What's the reason? What's the purpose of them separating themselves from Tyreek Hill? That's what interests me the most. What is it? I guess we're just going to have to wait and see on that answer. But it's clearly obvious. You know, it's clearly obvious. Who knows? This video is going to go up and then someone's going to see it and they're going to post something with Tyreek Hill. You never know. But not posting one of your most gifted players for a month after everything that's happened, you know, over the last 6 months, you don't have to be Sherlock or a mathematician to put 2 and 2 together on that one. And they can try and sell us whatever they want, but I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. Now, next I want to ask you, you know, I know I've talked about this, but it just continues to weigh on me, you know? The money we gave Zach Wilson, right? You know, we're talking about where we are at right now. Now, I know I gave you the numbers of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey, but right now we have $13.749 million in cap space, okay? You could have over 20, you would have about $20 million in cap space if you didn't give Zach Wilson this money. And here's the thing. Tua goes down, the season's off the rails anyways. I'll be the first one out here saying, yo, tank for Nussmeier, tank for Lenora Sellers, you know, tank for one of these guys, you know. I don't think they're going to, you know, tank for one of these guys, right? You know, I think the top 5 next year, early prediction, I think the top 5 to go in terms of quarterbacks, I think Cade Klubnik, I think he might even be the first off the board. People are loving him, but you don't know how the season plays out. We all know where Ewers was projected last offseason. But right now, early prediction, if the 2026 draft was today, I think the first 5 off the board would be Nussmeier, Sellers, and this isn't in order. Nussmeier, Sellers, Aller, Cade Klubnik, and Sam Levitt. So, you know, I'm telling you, if 2 goes down, do we really want Zach Wilson to come in here and get us to 500? And instead of having a top 10 or top 5 pick, we're picking at 15, 16, 17, 18? No, this is a season where you better put all your eggs in the basket to win. Or if things go wrong, pull the eggs out of the basket and get ready for a new fill. And you're changing from white eggs to brown eggs because something's switching up here. You know what I mean? So, you know, and hey, and then on the flip side, why would you even bother? You know, I know we got Quinn Ewers, but we all knew they were taking a quarterback anyways. You could at least find out what you got with a rookie. And if he sucks, you just super tank and you get a great pick. If he shows something, then, hey, man, you might have hit on something and it ain't going to cost too much for the first few years. You know? Instead, you know, look at this. You know, something from an article last offseason really sticks out. This is from an ESPN article. And it said it's hard to come up with many positives on Zach Wilson. Since entering the league, he has ranked 29th out of 29 quarterbacks in EPA per play with a minimum of 1,000 dropbacks. Since 2000, he's 121st out of 122 quarterbacks in the same category, fractionally ahead of Blaine Gabbert. Perhaps the most damning indictment of Wilson is that the Jets' offense performed better with other quarterbacks, averaging more points per game when he was on the bench. You know, like that is, you know, that is painful. And that's from Rich Cimini. Like, that is painful. You know, you're talking about like a super inaccurate guy here too, right? You know, like, just puts a lot of bad throws on film, a lot of bad throws on the field. And, you know, I've told y'all, it was evident since coming out of BYU, he would be really good if you taught him how to play efficiently from in structure with all those tools. So then when he got out of structure, he could really kill teams. But He's only been really be able to create consistently out of structure since BYU. Hasn't developed into enough of a consistent and efficient pocket quarterback. But we're expecting it's somehow going to change here. Sure, he can move with his legs. Sure, he has a big arm. But what good is that if you all can't put it together? So, man, you got to ask yourself. You got to really sit back and ask yourself, did the Miami Dolphins waste $6 million? And, you know, time is going to tell on that. And let's be honest here. Hopefully, we don't even have to see a huge sample size to get that answer and Tua stays healthy. Now, speaking of Tua, PFF, they came out with their quarterback rankings, all 32 starters ahead of the 2025 NFL season. Tier 1 was Mahomes, Burrow, and Lamar as elite, with Josh Allen. High-end starters were Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert. Tier 3A with solid starters who have flashed high-end play was Jared Goff, Geno Smith, Brock Purdy. Tier 3B, solid starters, but they need more help. Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, CJ Stroud, Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, and Tua. I'll sit here and tell you right now, Tua Tagovailoa, let's start moving them up. They got him 18, and this is what they say. Tagovailoa might be the most polarizing quarterback in the league when comparing production to PFF grade. He put up strong numbers and grades in 2022 and 2023, but took a noticeable step back in 2024 after suffering another concussion in week 2. Never quite looked the same after returning. If Tua can rebound, the Dolphins become a dangerous team in 2025, but there's a real question as to whether he'll ever return to his 2023 form when he earned an 86.9 overall grade. I mean, okay, he was really good against Arizona. Raheem Mostert cost us that game. He was really good against the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. The defense and special teams cost us that game. Really, his only bad game after his comeback was the Texans game against a good team. And then your boy Herbert, who they had in the top 10, how did Herbert and the Chargers look against Houston? So I think Tua is better than Dak. I think Tua is better than Trevor Lawrence. That's way too high. As a passer right now, Tua is better than Kyler. All right? You could make an argument with CJ. You could make an argument with Baker. I think he's better than Jordan Love right now. All right? So I think Baker, CJ, and Tua are better than Jordan Love right now. All right? So now we've moved them way up. All right? Now I've got them at, I've got Tua around 12 to 14 range. Okay? Geno Smith. I'll tell you right now, Geno Smith, Baker, Tua, and CJ Stroud are better than Geno Smith. All right? So now what are we around? We're around the 11 to 13 range. Okay? Now you get into the Hurts and blah, 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 blah. Now we're getting into like athlete and who's a better athlete. The point of the fact is he's what I've said he is. Tua is a top 12 quarterback that can give you top 5 or top 3 play on any given Sunday. But then he has those Sundays where he looks like a top 20 to top 25 quarterback and the rest of the team needs to show up. And again, this comes down to, here's the facts. He's missed a lot of key reps. A lot of key reps due to injury. That's on the player, right? Should have been with us for that 2022 run and that Bills, playoff game. And I really think he would have led us to a win in that game. And that could have changed the whole trajectory of where this franchise is at. Up and down in that December in 2023. Led us on that game-winning drive to clinch the playoffs against Dallas. But then, Tyreek Hill drops the ball in Baltimore. Things go off the rails a little bit against Baltimore, and things go off the rail. 2024 last year, I thought his worst game was the Texans. I thought he wasn't good against the Texans at all. So, I think he's a top 12 quarterback. It is what it is right now. And now let's see if he can start to put it together consistently for 1 year, and he can get back to that 2023 form where he led the league in passing, right? He's led the league in passing yards, passer rating, and completion percentage. in all different years, we need to have one year where he puts that all together, right? So, guys, smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. I appreciate each and every one of you for supporting me the way you do. I love y'all. And I will continue to provide you guys with the best possible content there is covering the Miami Dolphins. I will see y'all on the next one. We'll be live on Dougly Durong's channel Wednesday night for the starting lineup. And on Thursday, I will be live with Neil Driscoll for Fin Too Deep. So make sure you tune in, all right? Fins up all day, every day. I'll see each and every one of you on the next one. Love y'all.